Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be going over some training camp battles to keep an eye on in the upcoming 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp. We're literally fast approaching. This is being recorded on July 22nd. First training camp practice that is available to the public is on July 25th. I'm going to be there. Hope to see a lot of you there, by the way. But I feel like it's important to talk about some of the training camp battles, kind of go through both the offense and the defense, and dive into who we all should be paying attention to in terms of the battles. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. The first one I want to talk about, which, I don't even know if it's going to be a battle per se, but because they may just go with Kyle Trask as the backup, but like Kyle Trask versus John Wolford is still going to be interesting. Something that I want to pay attention to, because I feel like Trask has lost a lot of I don't know if supporters is the word, because I'm sure there's still plenty of people in the organization who like Kyle Trask, but like John Wolford just has more ties right now to the current staff in terms of offensive stuff. Right? Liam Cohen was brought in as OC. John Wolford worked with him before. He can help out Baker Mayfield, and I guess really the entirety of the offense continue to learn and grow in a Liam Cohen type of offense. What you want from a backup quarterback, and Trask just doesn't really have that, sway in this offense right now. So it is going to be a smidge interesting, in my opinion, just to see if Wolford, or Trask, whichever one is going to be named that backup quarterback, maybe worth paying attention to. But after that, you do get some other interesting matchups here, like Bucky Irving versus Chase Edmonds, who's going to be the number 2 running back on this team. Chase Edmonds had that role last year, and he's a friend of the channel, so I'm going to try not to be too biased. But Chase Edmonds, was overall, I think, decent in his role last year as the backup running back, played in 13 games. Rachaad White did have a very large amount of the workload last year in 2023, but you still had a situation where, Edmonds had 176 yards, good for 3.6 yards per carry. He did have 81 receiving yards, and I think that overall Edmonds is a fine backup running back, is a veteran that can get the job done. But they did draft Bucky Irving for a reason. I feel like as the weeks have gone on, there's been a lot more people who have been supporting Bucky Irving than not, which is good. I'm very encouraged to see that. Again, went to a couple of really nice schools in Minnesota first, then in Oregon later. So he's got like the college pedigree to, hopefully be something here in the NFL. It's just a matter of, can he get the job done? So we're going to have to pay attention to that battle. You then have a couple of guys like Jalen McMillan versus Trey Palmer for that wide receiver 3 spot. It was Trey Palmer's job last year overall. I thought he did a pretty good job, all things considered. 385 yards, 3 touchdowns in the playoffs. He had 88 receiving yards and a touchdown on 3 receptions. Like, Palmer did very good, especially for a 6th round draft pick of all things. So, he, I would say, has probably some early momentum, but Jalen McMillan's also pretty slick as well coming out of Washington. He was a 3rd round draft pick. A lot of people have kind of tabbed him as the future successor to maybe like Chris Godwin somewhere down the line. I think that Palmer and McMillan are kind of the future of the Bucs wide receiver room. So that's going to be an interesting battle as well. That, in terms of skill position players, is it for the offense. Arguably, though, the biggest battle in the entirety of the offense is going to be Ben Bredeson versus Sua Opeta at left guard. Who's the starting left guard going to be? We don't know. Ben Bredeson was a starter last year for the New York Giants. He started every single game for the Giants last year. He has started 25 games in his NFL career, playing in 45, I believe. Yep. And then you have Sua Opeta, who has less experience, has played in 38 games throughout his career, but is also coming out of an organization in Philadelphia where they're pretty good at developing offensive linemen. So that's something that I don't know if it's necessarily going to determine the entire, course of the Buccaneers season, but it's certainly going to help if you have a good starting left guard in your offense, or even a serviceable left guard. I mean, even whenever like Nick Leverett or Aaron Stinney was out there, the offense was clicking a little bit better than whenever you had like bad left guard play, which, like whenever like Luke Gedeke was out there, it was notable. I mean, granted, he's doing great at right tackle now, but not so much at left guard. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to emerge as that starting left guard. On the defensive side of things, you have a few battles I think worth mentioning. Is Logan Hall versus Will Golston like a legit battle? I mean, would you rather start Logan Hall or Will Golston? I don't know, man. Like, maybe at this point you could say Will Golston. I think they're going to start Logan Hall, just to give him a chance, and he was the starter last year, but he was kind of ineffective last year, right? I mean, he started 13 games last year, had a half sack, 22 tackles, and two fumbles recovered and two passes defended, two tackles for loss. Like, he technically had a worse year not even technically. He had a worse year starting 13 games in 2023 than starting 0 games in 2022. So, I don't know what to make of all that, but maybe you have a battle there for starting defensive, and we'll have to wait and see on that. Then, in terms of outside linebacker, I mean, just throw everybody's hat into the ring. Joe Trine-Shoyinka is going to be there. I mean, in terms of outside guys, I'm trying to name the other guys right now. Chris Braswell, the outside linebacker from Alabama, is going to be in that mix. Anthony Nelson, who knows, is he going to be in that mix for the starting role? Randy Gregory, if he ever actually shows up, may be in that role. Yaya Diaby is going to be obviously, probably going to be a starter. But, like, there's a lot of guys competing for a starting opportunity right now at that outside edge rushing linebacker. You have Joe Trine-Shoyinka, Randy Gregory, Chris Braswell, Anthony Nelson, and Yaya Diaby in that mix as well. I don't remember if I already mentioned him. But, and also, like, you can't count out guys like Marquise Watts and some of the other guys that are in that mix as well. And somebody needs to emerge, again, kind of as that dog, kind of as that guy who's going to be a starting pass rusher, an effective starting pass rusher for this team. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but it's going to be worth paying attention to in training camp. Inside linebackers, another crazy battle. You have got KJ Britt in there. You've got Servassier Dennis in there. Maybe JJ Russell's in that mix. Maybe, like, I don't know, a V Jones or a Kalen DeLoach. Like, and that's something else where it's you've got guys top to bottom, right, who are going to be battling from the second linebacker spot all the way to making the roster as a fifth linebacker. So we'll have to pay attention to that as well. And then finally, guys, I want to talk about the nickel cornerback spot. You've got a few different guys competing for it. You have got Tyke Smith, who they brought in the NFL draft. You have got Tavier Thomas, who they brought in from free agency. You've got Christian Izien, who was their starting nickel last year. If you were to tell me that any one of those three guys was going to be your starting nickel, I'd be completely fine with that. And it's just going to be a matter of who's going to rise to the occasion, who's going to actually end up being that starter. So I think all three are great options. And we'll just have to see who gets going there. But guys, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's most of the position battles that we all should be paying attention to. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Are there any other position battles that you guys would be keeping an eye on? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear them. But guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. As always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.